We got 7 minutes on the clock. Welcome to the Deal Scout. Today we are going to have a conversation with Bob King, who literally wrote the book on closing. Bob, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Josh. Yes, I did. It's called The Joy of Closing, the Definitive Guide to Building Trust, Getting the Deal, and Creating Happy Customers by Bob King, and it's available on Amazon.
Yeah, closing. All right. At the end of the day, us deal makers, if we're transactional, we only get paid when the deal closes. Talk to us about closing.
The number one thing to know about closing is your mindset. You really have to have the mindset of a closer before you ever start your presentation, before you ever meet your customer. If you don't believe that moving forward is the very best thing for your customer, for your company, and for you, hopefully in that order, you're multiplying everything in your pitch by zero. And zero times anything is nothing. So you really have to start by holding in your mind the idea that moving forward today is the best thing for everybody.
Wow. All right. So the mindset of a closer, man, I like that title. I think we're going to use that today. The mindset of a closer. What are some bad mindsets walking into a close? Because I know a lot of people have smelt commission breath out there. So what are some bad
Commission
mindsets?
growth comes from putting your needs ahead of the customer's needs, and that is the quickest way to kill any deal. If you're not putting the customer first, and the customer perceives it, that whole souffle will fall in the oven, and never be a souffle again. And the way I have a chapter in the book called "The Cure for Slumps, Streaks, and the Cure for Commission Breath." And what I say in there is that if you take your focus from getting the customer to saying yes to getting the customer to make a decision, a lot of times, which is what happens when you get on a streak, you really don't care if they say yes or no. And on one sense, you really just care that they make a decision, that you're not there to waste your time, that you're there to help them make an intuitive decision about something that they want, to be that agent of change, to work with their resistance. But that's a different chapter. Let's get to actual closing. So to be an effective closer, number one, you have to have the mindset of a closer. And that is the belief within you that you have a great product that will affect your customer in a powerful way. Obviously, you want to find out what your customer's needs are to really make sure that's true. But you have to believe in your company, and you have to believe in what you're selling before you ever get started. And if you're manufacturing that, I think that your success will be very limited. You need to make an effective presentation. I call it one call magic because the things I learned in the home improvement business, I find that my non-home improvement clients, and I have lots of them, I'm a closing coach and also work with sales teams to maximize their effectiveness and bring a little one call magic to what they're doing now. But I came up in a business where if I didn't get the deal that day, I was out gas money and time and never going to make any money. And that kind of pressure on me actually made me a much more effective presenter and a much more effective closer. Well, really a closer. But any business, even when the norm isn't getting it in the room, is still benefited from a customer moving forward on the first day and also just making the very best first impression. So you need a pitch. And I'm always amazed, especially B2B customers, how they really don't even have a pitch. They just have a bunch of stuff they talk about that customers seem to like, but there's no real structure, and there's not an emotional journey that they're taking the customer through that will lead them, bring clarity to their chaos, and allow them to make a decision. So that's all detailed in the book. There's 7 steps in a forecast. It's a lot of fun to read, and it's really applicable no matter what you're selling and how you're selling it. But then you get to the part after you present price. You are in closing. Closing is what happens after you present price, when you have to really work with the customer's resistance to get them something they want. And if you approach it from that standpoint, I think you're going to have a lot of success. You have to know a number one rule of closing is stop talking. So after you present price or after you ask for the deal, and hopefully you're doing that, more than once, more than 3 times. We all know that axiom where, most customers say yes after the 4th time. Most salespeople give up after 3 or before 3, sometimes after 1. So all of that stuff, you have to keep asking. But once you ask for that deal, you need to stop talking and see what the customer says next.
All right. Give us an example. All right. So you and I are working on a deal. You just presented the price. All right. So let's do some little role play with 2 minutes left.
So we take a 10% commission for that, which includes blah 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 blah.
So All right. So you take a 10%. All right. So you,
I'm not going to talk. I have to follow my own advice. Throw an objection at me. I'll speak to, yeah.
what I liked about that is even though I'm a podcaster and I've done this a long time, just that brief moment of silence knew it was my turn to talk and you're going to win the game because I was going to talk and I was just going to make up something. But this is so effective. So when most salespeople fail is they say something and then they just keep on rambling.
Yeah, well, what it does, so first of all, they can't say yes unless you stop talking. So you might already have the deal. That's the one nice thing. But if they don't say yes, they're probably going to either throw up an objection or tell you a lie, and usually both. An objection is something that the customer says, it's an excuse to not make a decision today. And it's almost always facetious. The classic one is, I need time to, I need to think about it. That's the classic objection, which is also the worst objection because it gives you nothing to go on. There's no deeper level of, if they say, well, that's a lot, their objection is price. When price becomes the objection and you're an effective closer, that's like an NFL wide receiver touching the ball. You are expected to make the reception. You should have enough money in your deal to close that customer, but it's never about the money. It's always about meeting them where they are, responding to their needs. It's really about creating intimacy with the customer and working with their resistance to close them. And so in my book, I have 10 common objections and 13 closes. They are interchangeable. And the reason they're interchangeable is because it's not customer says this, you say that, which I see a lot of books about closing cover. It's really how do you create intimacy with that customer and work with their resistance to get them something they want.
Bob, where can people go to connect with you and do a deal?
My website's joyofclosing.com. I can be reached there at bob@joyofclosing.com. I'm also on LinkedIn, as well as the book is on Amazon. So if you want the book, go on Amazon. If you buy 20 copies, I will give you an hour of coaching.
Oh, hey, I like that. So
I'm running a
everyone,
special.
as always, reach out to our guests. Say thanks for being on the show. If you have a deal that you'd like to talk about here on the Deal Scout, head on over to thedealscout.com, fill out a quick form, get you on the show next, and check out The Joy of Closing by Mr. Bob King. So
Come and get it.
Talk to you all on the next episode. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, Josh.